Good.
All right.
Did you get that? I did, thank you. I was a little running around yesterday, but I got it. All good.
Okay, cool.
And Yisrael's in America this week.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah.
Okay.
I got it. Thank you. Okay, so I always look at that clock and it's never right. It's okay.
Part of the routine.
It was funny. I was in my house on I think it was Shabbos, I don't remember what it was. So I looked at the clock. We have a clock in our dining room, and I look at it. And I'm like trying to figure it out. I'm like, there's got to be something wrong with that clock. I said like totally the wrong time. It's like trying to like my brain. Then finally I realized the clock was upside down.
Oh my God.
And it must have fallen off. And I put it back on, and I was like, oh yeah, I just turned it around. Now it works. You know, so that's it's a good. There's a lesson in there somewhere.
On Shabbat,
That way, Paul, next time you have your own stories, I gotta have a story for that, right?
Yeah.
on Shabbat you can turn the clock around.
It was yeah. It wasn't a digital. It was just like a clock, like
So,
yeah.
It was good that you clocked that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that Shabbat. No. Yeah. Good.
I had a story like that where the lamp wasn't working, so me and my brother were trying to fix out what was wrong with the electricity thing going to the lamp, and then realized, hey, wait, have we tried switching the bulb yet?
I helped Phil move into a house like that, and we were trying to figure out electricity. Where's the power board thing? And it was like, oh, there's no light glue. It's dark, but it's easy.
It's good. It's good for our humility. Okay, so we are going through what I call the 10 paradigm shifts of Judaism, the 10 ideas that I have found in my experience, both for myself in my own journey, but also in working with countless amount of people. These are the different ideas that I just find are the most powerful ideas that really get people to think about Judaism differently. And a lot of the misconceptions or the really what they just haven't thought much about, but what they assume Judaism is, it just gets them to, flip their whole view of what Judaism is. And I mentioned this in the first class that whenever I'm teaching, Chumash, Pirkei Avos, going through whatever it might be, I'm always trying to figure out how do I include these ideas within what I'm teaching, because these are really, they're yesodos, they're really ideas that get people to see Judaism differently. So we did 5 already, right?
But
I won't, yeah.
Are you gonna give us these like this after the class?
Give you what? I'm sorry.
Like a list of these notes,
Are you going to?
or is it?
It's
no,
up
because
to you.
you're
Yeah.
No, because some.
I'm happy to share my
other
notes with
classes
you.
are.
Yeah.
Some of the classes they are giving. So.
Right. No, I'm assuming people will take notes if they want. Some people are. You can share whatever it might be. So, but okay. So we'll yeah, exactly. I saw that.
Now that I understand, I read my.
It's also being recorded. It's being recorded, so you can watch it again and take notes the second time. So
that was my original
as well. So the first 5 we did, we'll do a quick review, right? So now you can take notes. There you go. Right? So the first one was that Judaism gives everyone exactly what they want, their most basic drives. Everyone wants to be great. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to have meaning in their life. And they don't know how to get it, but Judaism is designed to give them those things. And part B, we said, was that it not only gives it to them, but it gives it to them in the most real way, because the world tells people how do you become great? How do you have meaning? All these external things that we're constantly chasing, where Judaism says, no, they're things that we can do ourselves, right? How does a person become happy? By being happy with what we have. How does a person get honor? By honoring other people. So these are things that we can control, and Judaism gives us the core drives that every human being wants. That was number 1. Number 2 was that every human being is made up of a body and a soul, and Judaism is teaching us how to live as souls, right? And when we live as souls, we really fulfill our deepest purpose and feel like we're living the most meaningful life. And we talked a lot about how to choose between the body and the soul and what that means, and helping people do that. Number 3 was that every person is created to get the most pleasure they can in life, and don't settle for the lower types of pleasure, i.e. physical pleasure, because we know physical pleasures don't last, they're fleeting. But meaning and ultimately spiritual pleasure, a connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's really the deepest meanings that last forever. Number 4 was that God doesn't need anything from us, right? People think Judaism is about I'm giving something to God. I'm sacrificing. I'm guilty. I'm telling God how great He is when I pray. When people understand, no, God is perfect. He has absolutely everything He needs. He doesn't need anything from us. Everything we do, from prayer to any mitzvah, is really not. It's not for God. It's for us. Right? That's a game changer for people. And then number 5, what we talked about last time, is that Judaism doesn't believe in a leap of faith. That Judaism believes that we are supposed to use our minds, and our basis for our belief in God and our belief in Torah is based on rational evidence and trying to understand. And we talked about how Abraham Avinu was called the first monotheist because he was the first one who came to figure this out, quote unquote, on his own, as opposed to just being passed on by other people. Okay? So that was the first 5. Yes?
Next question on the last one.
Of course.
So, in regards to leap of faith, where Judaism does not believe in that, in a rational sense, it's very easy to make that claim, where you can prove Judaism, this is real, and this is what we believe in, fine. But on a more emotional / spiritual level, when there's a commandment to just have bitachon in Hashem and not in the external world around you, that requires a leap of faith on an emotional level.
I don't believe it does, because we talked about this the last time a little bit, that emunah, it's hot in here. Should we turn on the air conditioner? Are you guys okay? Right? You're okay? Yeah? Anyone wants to turn it on? I don't know how to turn it on, but I just feel a little hot. Okay, don't worry about it. It's not such a big deal, but if people want it, we can turn on the air conditioning. We talked about this a little last time, that emunah doesn't mean faith, it means faithfulness, right? Faithfulness means that I've used my mind, I have the evidence in front of me to come to a conclusion, and then when I have a challenge to that, I'm able to stick to what I know is true. And I don't get swayed by circumstances, right? Because I know something is true because I've invested so much of my mind into it. So bitachon to me is that if I've really spent the time, looking at why I believe that there's a God in the world, and I'm having a relationship with Him, and then when the curveball comes and I don't understand why it's happening, and I say, no, I'm going to stick to my guns, that's not blind faith. That's just sticking to what I know is true. That makes sense?
You're making the argument that if somebody has exhausted all of their rational resource of this is investigating it, this is truth, then overall, black and white's very black and white, but overall they wouldn't be swayed by
Correct.
On an emotional.
Correct. Listen, there's always a gap. Nothing in this world, okay? It's interesting. Maybe Mati Berger would say differently, or someone else would argue with me, tell me that I'm a kofar, but this is my opinion. There's nothing in this world that we know 100%. Okay? We don't know. It's possible, right? If a car is coming at you 60 miles an hour and you're standing in the middle of the road, is it possible that car was going to swerve away from you and not hit you? It's possible, right? But you're going to move, because even though it's not 100%, the chances are pretty good, right, that you're going to move. So it's possible, everyone uses the example, you guys know the movie The Matrix, right? If you've seen the movie, right? Maybe we're all living in a pod somewhere, and this is all just an imagination of our minds,
Yeah, but how could they have written the Torah?
You get asked a lot of, but anything's possible. It could be there's aliens that, but the question is, right, and when you, at least in America, right, when you go to put someone on trial and you're going to give them the death penalty, right, we don't say you have to know something 100%. It's beyond a reasonable doubt, right, because we understand it's possible that we're wrong, right? And even Judaism, by the way, we say you have to have 2 Adam, right? And you have to go, but it's possible they're wrong, but we understand in life that we make decisions based on where we see the overwhelming evidence is. So yes, even a person who spends the time and thinking and looking at the evidence and trying to understand, yeah, there's always still going to be some gap, right? And that's natural because we're not God. We don't know everything. We're not all knowing. But that doesn't mean it's a blind faith. Because if that's blind faith, that means everything we're doing is blind faith, right? Choosing our spouse, how do I know this is going to be the right person? Maybe I'm wrong, right? At some point, yeah, you take the jump because you put in the evidence and you looked at, enough of what you think is right, and then you go with it. Right?
I guess that's a leap and more of a small step.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Okay, so now we're on to number 6, okay? So number 6 is, so I define number 6 as the existence of God means that things happen in this world for a reason versus randomness, right? Meaning, when you help people understand, right, that if you don't believe in God, right, everything in this world is random, right? It's basically random. But if you believe in God, and the Jewish definition of God, that means that everything that we have in this world has meaning and purpose, and nothing happens just because of randomness. That is like the biggest gap of how a person can look at the world, right? It's like two different universes, two different existences that you're living in. And nobody wants to live in a world that everything is just random, right? It was actually, I heard, it was maybe like a year ago or so, I was listening to the radio, and there was a reporter, and this reporter was talking about different experiences they had. There's one of these reporters, these like crazy reporters that go to like the front line of like conflicts and like go to Iraq and Afghanistan, and they like go embedded, like really like, so he would, this guy was talking about, I forget where it was somewhere like in the Congo, somewhere in Africa, and he went to cover a conflict, and he was describing that there was a time where literally there was no one in control. Like whoever were the forces that, of like the fight, like the whoever was like the army, whatever, had lost complete control. And he said it was the first time in his life that he absolutely felt like there was no protection, right? He had no idea what was about to happen. And he said it was the scariest moment of his life. Because he said even when he had been in other conflicts and there were like people shooting at them, but like at least he was with like the army, right? Who were like shooting back, and like he knew like there was someone there to protect him, hopefully, right? Even though he knew it was dangerous. There was no protection. And he said that was the scariest moment of his life. And so I believe that for people living in a world where there is absolutely no one in control, right? Everything is just random. Everything that just happens to us is an incredibly, incredibly scary experience, as opposed to living in the world where we say, no, there is someone in control. There's something that has a plan, that everything is part of a plan, right? For people, that is an incredibly comforting and powerful idea. Now, obviously, these ideas have to be joined together, because the one we said before is Judaism believes that there's rational evidence that there's a God, that we're supposed to use our brain. Because if you take what I'm saying now in a vacuum, you say, oh, you're just making people feel better, but it's not necessarily true. So obviously you have to couple them together. But the fact that we believe this is true, showing people that the natural consequence of that is that we live in a world where there is a control, there is purpose, is amazing. And this then goes all the way also to people's everyday life. Imagine living in a world where you miss the bus, right? And you're just, this is the worst, most horrible thing, and there's no purpose, and there's no reason, and it's just completely randomness, versus a world where, you know what, I missed the bus, and there's a reason why I missed the bus. What was the opportunity that I'm supposed to be living? Why did it? It's a different world. It's a world of opportunity. It's a world of meaning. It's a world of purpose. And when you show people this and they open their eyes to it, it's amazing. My wife's sister, her and her husband actually started Aish in the UK. Shaul and Alana Rosenblatt, and they lived in the UK for a while. She's not British, but her husband is. And they used to do something at their Shabbat table that we try to do. We don't do it always, but they would do something called hashgacha stories. That every Friday night, the people around the table would have to give one story that happened during the week to them where they saw God's hand in their life, right? Now, it's amazing, it's powerful, you see it, but what it actually did is that if you knew when you were going to their table, you were going to have a story, you know what you did all week? You were looking for God's hand, because you had to come with a story, so you were looking for it, right? So a person who's living a life where they're looking to see the meaning and how the puzzle pieces fit together and the purpose, it's a person living in a completely different life than a person who sees everything as complete randomness. And people also understand, like I said, this is a combination of we believe this is real, but also getting people to what kind of world do you want to live in? Many people have problems, understandably, with when very bad things happen in the world, right? Terrible things happen in the world, bad things happen to good people, whatever it might be, right? And people look at this and they see the injustice and they get upset, right? And one thing I like to point out to people is say, you know what? Okay, this terrible thing happened. We all agree it's terrible. It's painful, right? Would you rather live in a world where there's absolutely no reason why this happened, and it's pointless, and it's random, and there's no why, and there's nothing you can do about it? Or would you rather live in a world and say, yeah, this is very painful, but you know what? It's part of a plan, and it's part of a purpose. And we might be able to get an insight to what that purpose is, or we might not be able to. But the very fact that we can just ask the question, why did this happen? There is no question of why, of why did this happen. This is, again, when people, I don't know if anyone in the morning is doing Rabbi Resnick's track. Rabbi Resnick's going through some of the difficult issues, and he's talking, I know one of the things he's talking about is the Holocaust. But a lot of people say, oh, where was God in the Holocaust, right? How did that happen, right? But we have to understand, wait, if you think everything's random, right, it's not a question. It's only a question if you believe that there's a God who loves us, who's involved, who's in control. Then it's a question, where is God, right? Meaning, where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a world of randomness, or do you want to live in a world of purpose? And I find that this is also very eye-opening for people. Okay, any questions on that one? Thoughts? Make sense? Okay, so that's number 6.
Existence of God means purpose and meaning.
Existence of God, yes, means everything has a purpose. Literally everything has a purpose, everything has a meaning. And another one of another to tie things together. So hopefully you guys are familiar with the 6 constant mitzvot, the Sheish mitzvahs Tamidius, right? So the 6 constant mitzvah that Rabbi Mathias also was very big on teaching. So one of the questions he always asked about it is the first mitzvah of the 6 constant mitzvahs is to know there's a God. The second mitzvah is to know that there's not to believe in any other gods. And then the third mitzvah is, what's that?
Fear or to love, I'm not sure.
That's the 4th and the 5th.
That the world came from nothing. That the world came from nothing. No?
It's not
Oh man, you guys, we gotta do the 6 constant
it's Spartan
mitzvahs.
has 10, right? So it's different for us.
Okay, wow. Okay, this is.
We overthink.
Do you say Hashem
Stop
speaking in
talking
James?
at this
What?
point.
No,
Thinking about
constantly.
constantly.
Constantly. So the first one,
That's
like,
right.
It's not like partnership.
I don't know.
and
Is
then
that?
It's not partnership.
Next one.
So Hashem Echad, God is one.
Believe in God.
Yeah.
God is one. Don't believe in any other powers.
I think that's
Love your God.
Yeah.
And don't stray after.
Very good. Let's just surround
Love the Torah.
Ding, 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 ding. Get that man an extra dessert. Very good.
Wait, sorry. When you say constant mitzvahs, it means it's
You
you
have
have to do that every time, or it can be fulfilled.
Every time.
It can be fulfilled constantly. Tamidus. It has to be filled
There's
constantly.
more than I was
So
thinking.
No, according to the Sefer Chinuch, it's on the very first page of the Mishnah Berurah. There's 6 constant mitzvahs. Okay, that's not what this class is about. But I want to point out that we asked the question: if there's already a mitzvah to know there's a God, and there's also a mitzvah not to believe in any other gods, so what is the mitzvah of Hashem Echad? God is one, which is a separate mitzvah in the Torah mitzvah, the 613 mitzvahs. What is that coming to add?
Wait, that's one of the 6?
Yes, it's one of the 6.
Can you repeat the question once more? What's the
Yes.
What's
that
the
is
God?
everywhere.
Again, sorry, I threw us on the loop there. There are 6 constant mitzvot, and that is a totally useless piece of information for what I'm trying to say right now, okay? But of the 613 mitzvot, okay, I was just trying to test if you guys knew the 6 constant mitzvahs, and you guys failed horribly. We're going to have to do something about that, big time, okay?
Different time.
But of the 613 commandments, there's a mitzvah to know that there's a God. There's a mitzvah not to believe in any other gods. And then there's a third mitzvah to know God is one. Hashem Echad, right? My question is, if there already is a mitzvah to know there's a God, and there's a mitzvah not to believe in any other gods, what is it adding to say that God is one? Because I already know He's there,
Everything stems
and I know
from
there's
God.
nothing else.
Everything stems from
Very
God.
good.
Everything
So
comes
the
from God.
idea
God is everything.
everything is God, right? I can believe that there's a God who created the world, and then He just let it go on autopilot, and there's no other powers that are going to come and interfere. But that everything is God. Right? God is everything. God, we say Hashem is a hamakom. He is the place. Everything is within God. Everything is godliness, which means, what does that mean practically? It means everything has purpose. Everything has meaning. Everything has a reason. There is no such thing as randomness. That's an unbelievably fascinating world to live in. Where every person I meet, every person I sit down next to on the bus, every time, like I said, I miss the train, every time, it all is an opportunity to see God's plan. Verse, it's just all random and purposeless. That's the contrast here that we can show people. Okay, so that's number 6.
Rabbi?
Yes.
Is the understanding of that mitzvah understood throughout Chazal, is that like agreed upon that that's the understanding of that mitzvah? Are there different interpretations?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are different interpretations. Yeah, but that is in the Sefer Chinuch. That's how he describes it. But I'm sure there are other understandings. Okay. So the seventh point, and this is a totally separate idea, which we really haven't talked about, but I find this is a very powerful idea, especially for people who are idealistic. Anybody here idealistic? I came into Aish many years ago. I was a big idealist. I wanted to change the world. I was gonna go, help fix, help the environment and like fight for poor people. And I was like, I really wanted to make a difference in the world. That really spoke to me, right? And so idea number 7 is that the Jewish people have a mission in the world to literally fix all the world's problems. Yeah, this is the mission of the Jewish people. The Jewish people have a mission in the world. By the way, most Jews don't even know that. There was a quote. You guys know who Elie Wiesel was, right? So Elie Wiesel was a Holocaust survivor. He was a Nobel Prize winner he wrote the book Night about his experience in the Holocaust. Fascinating person. Grew up as a yeshiva bacher and had all kinds of interesting religious, spiritual journeys. But he said the following, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm probably butchering it. I said this this past winter. I was with a group of 100 college students, and I said this exact thing, quoting him, and everyone started laughing. So I said, why are you guys laughing? And they said, because this is Elie Wiesel's grandson, was part of the group.
No way.
So I said afterwards, I said, well, did I just quote the name of your grandfather? Does it sound like it's right? He said, yeah, it sounded like it's right. Okay, good. I can keep saying it. So supposedly Elie Wiesel said, the Jewish people are like a messenger who not only forgot their message, but forgot that they're a messenger in the first place. Right? Kadosh Baruch Hu sent the Jewish people into this world with a mission, right? And we forgot that we have a mission in the first place. We're just wandering around like, what are we supposed to be doing here, right? It's unbelievable, but the Jewish people are put in this world with a mission, right? And like I said in the first one, that everyone has these internal universal drives, right? Everyone wants to be great. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to have meaning. Everyone wants to make a difference in the world. Everyone wants to make a difference in the world, right? When we get to 120 years and they look at our tombstone, is it going to, write on there how many chickens we ate and how many hamburgers we ate, right? Or is it going to hopefully say how we left a lasting impact in this world? We all understand that's why we're here. Everyone wants to make a difference. The question is, right? How do you want to make a difference? Do you want to save the whales? Right? Or you want to save the world? That is the Jewish mission, is to save the world. How? So there's maybe you heard this before because this is a class I give, some people give that there's an idea, right? Imagine, take any problem in the world, right? There's starving kids in Africa, right? Everyone agree that's a problem?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a problem, right? Maybe not the top row, it's a problem. No one wants to have starving kids anyway, right? Why are there starving kids in Africa? It's because there's not enough food in the world, right?
No.
No, there's definitely enough food.
There's enough food in the world. So it's because we don't know logistically how to get the food that we have to those people. Is that right?
No, we also
No, we know how to do that. So why are there starving kids in the world?
No one cares.
Because no one cares, because people are too busy, because people are too greedy, because I'd rather have my SUV than care about, or I'm the African warlord or president in whatever country and I want to keep all the money and all the things to myself and set up. So what's the common denominator of all those things?
Immorality.
Effort.
Yeah, I would say values.
How true is that?
Values. What are our values? What are our priorities? That every single problem in the world, maybe that's a generalization, but I think it's pretty true. Everything that exists in the world that's a major issue, there's solutions. But the problem is, it's our values that get us to decide if we really want to solve those problems or not. And the Jewish people's mission in the world is to teach the world values. To teach the world values of what really will, we could say it in this room, what it means, bring Mashiach. What does bring Mashiach mean? It means to create a world where people understand there's a God, and there's a right and wrong, and there's a morality, and there's values, and we can't just be thinking about ourselves right now, but we need to be thinking about others and into the future and help people understand, right, that we're responsible to make the world a better place by teaching values. That's the mission of the Jewish people, right? Spreading these values and these morals to the world. So that's a cause to join. That's a cause to be part of, right? You want to change the world. You want to help starving kids in Africa. The Jewish people's mission is to change the world and to make that happen. And by the way, I love showing people that, people are like, oh, what does that mean? Like, look at how we've changed the world, right? Look at the values that the Jewish people have taught the world have completely revolutionized the world over the last 2,000 years, right? The idea today, that was that?
I was saying, like, child sacrifice,
Yeah.
pagan stuff.
Yeah.
and-
You ever learn about the Aztecs?
Yeah.
The Aztecs used to go into war with non-lethal weapons. You know why? Because they wanted to capture as many people as they could so they could then sacrifice them, right? The Aztecs believed that if there wasn't blood flowing from their temples, that God was going to destroy them, right? It was a constant flow, and they would, you probably see the movies, they rip out their hearts and whatever it would be, they would do, right? Or you said child sacrifice, or you could go, the Colosseum in Rome, where you could take your, when I grew up, I grew up in Chicago. So my father had season tickets to the Chicago Bears, football. So I grew up, big Bears. So that was a little violent, right? Imagine taking your 5-year-old son to the Coliseum and watching 100, 200 people get eaten by lions and bears, or being killed by gladiators who are trained, right? This is what people go, right? And the Jewish people came and said, every human being is created in the image of God. That every human being has the right to life, right? You can't just kill, you can't just murder. It's not just, right? It doesn't matter. By the way, you say every human being. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your nationality. Every human being is created in the image of God. And all these other values, right? Peace on earth, right? You go to anyone here been to the United Nations in New York? Yeah, there's no joke. But if you go there, okay, you happen to be walking down First Avenue in New York City, and you see this big wall, which is called the Isaiah Wall, right?
Yeah.
The prophet Isaiah, and a quote from that prophet Isaiah, the famous quote that they'll turn their swords into plowshares and their something else into pruning, whatever it's, right? That basically it's a vision. Isaiah's a vision for the end of days, of the Messianic era, that the lion and the sheep will live together, and people will not fight. There'll be peace on earth, and everyone says, "Yeah, of course, pray for peace on earth," right? So I heard someone say, that there used to be when the Romans were around, there was something called Pax Romana, Romana, right, which is Roman peace. You know what Roman peace was? The Romans would come and conquer you, and then we'll have peace, right? That was peace.
Hey, my cousins have similar ideas.
Yeah, and today my cousins on all sides, by the way.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, the world has changed to the point where people at least recognize there are, okay, we know that it's corrupted, we know that, but there is such thing as human rights, and there is such thing as you can't just go attack another country, and the Jewish people have taught the world these certain values. There's a long way to go. The idea of education, right? 200 years ago, you know what percentage of people in the world were literate?
2.
Yeah, about 3%. I saw it was between 2 and 3%. Only 200 years ago, right? Maimonides, 1,000 years ago, said that if any Jewish community doesn't have a school, right? He says this in Hilchos Talmud Torah, you should excommunicate that community. And then he says, and if they still don't build it, you should burn the community down. That's what he says. 1,000 years ago, you have to have a school for children, right? So now today in the Western world, universal education, everyone, that's a stand, right? These are all values that the Jewish people brought to the world. And there's other civilizations, the Romans, the Greeks, right? Architecture and all these, the Jewish people have created the moral fabric, certainly for the Western hemisphere, the Western civilization. And this is the mission of the Jewish people that we're all supposed to be part of. Because, yes, we've accomplished so much, but we know there's many more steps to go. And if you really want to fix the world, and if you really want to make the world a better place, we've learned it's through values, and that is the mission of the Jewish people. So getting people to see that, Judaism, as we say, right? We say Torah is the blueprint for creation, right? Torah is the blueprint for bringing Mashiach, right? For fixing the world, for fixing the problems in the world, and creating this better place. Okay. Now there's a part B to that. And the part B to that, and this is really what this is all about, which is that it's not only that the Jewish people have a mission to fix the world, but we are responsible to be part of it, right? It is an obligation of being a Jew to be part of this mission, right? Supposed to keep Shabbat, supposed to keep kosher, right? There's also many mitzvot that we have, like not to stand idly by your brother's blood, right? That we are responsible for each other. We're responsible for the world. It's one of our not six constant mitzvot, but things that we're supposed to remember every day. And the ma'aminim that the Rambam said, to believe that Mashiach's going to come. This is all part of. We're supposed to be part of this idea of fixing the world. And this was one of Rabbi Weinberg's also core teaching. So we know that it says in the idea bishvili nivra ha'olam, the world was created for me, right? One of the ideas that it says in Pirkei Avos, right? So what does it mean that the world was created for me? So I love this. There's a in the Talmud, it asks the question, why did God create the world with just one person? Right? God could have snapped his fingers and created a civilization. Could have had a whole city, right? Why one person? So one of the answers given is that when Adam was in the Garden of Eden, right? And he saw a plant and it wasn't growing so well, or he saw an animal that was sick, right? What do most people do when they see a problem? Exactly. But Adam couldn't do that. There was no one else to look to. There was no one else to say they will take care of it. He was responsible. So bishvili nivra, the world was created for me means I am responsible. I am responsible for the world. And being part of the Jewish people means that we are responsible for taking the values and the morals of the Torah and spreading it to the world and making a difference in the world. So we are part of something huge. We are part of a people with literally a mission to fix the world. There is no greater mission than that. There is no greater purpose than that. And most Jews are totally oblivious to that. They have no idea that this at all.
We don't
right,
think like Reformed Jews know about Tikkun Olam. It's like their big, it's like a whole thing.
But they don't really know what it means.
Yeah.
They think it means go to someplace where there's a hurricane and help build a house. Which is very nice. It's a nice thing to do. But that's not really right. The key to Tikkun Olam, what we believe, like I said, is values.
But if once like Mashiach comes, all these problems we fix. Like we
bring
Mashiach.
Bring Mashiach. Yeah. That's that. The question is, how do we bring him, right? And this is the way. Is by. We know there's two ways Mashiach can come: the good way or the bad way, right? So we're hoping that we want to bring it the good way by teaching, getting people to want it and to recognize that we can make the world a better place. Yeah.
Even now with the growing Jewish education nowadays, it's still, this message is still not portrayed this way. That we have the job to fix the world.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So why?
We got a big job to do.
Why?
Because they're waiting for you. Waiting for you. Yeah. No, listen, I think you're talking about specifically even in like the Orthodox world.
Yeah.
I think, listen, this is a bigger conversation, but I think somewhat because the Jewish people have been so persecuted for so long that we've unfortunately taken a very inward-looking approach. We have to just take care of ourselves. The world has been so terrible to us, right? Look at what the Goyim do, look at the pogroms and this and that. We just have to take care of ourselves, right? And there's a truth to that. There's a strength to that. But the problem with that is we forget what our mission is. That our mission is really to go out and change the world, right? Now the question is, how do we do that? Does that mean we're supposed to go out and missionize? We're supposed to go put up billboards, in every city around in the world, telling them to believe in God? Like, what are we supposed to do? Or is it just, no, we're just supposed to perfect ourselves and create a society living on Torah and values and morals, and it's going to be a shining light to the world, and then the world will see, right? That's usually the more traditional way, but I've seen, I know Chabad, not all, but some of them are into this, like trying to get the Arabs into like the Noahide laws.
They already follow it.
Some, yeah, exactly. But they're more in. It's a small, minority of them that focus on that. But yeah, the idea of getting non-Jews to follow Noahide laws would be sort of part of that.
I guess also you got to put on your own and your family's oxygen mask first before
Exactly.
If you guys are taken care of, only then can you help everyone else.
And obviously that's been the focus of Aish when we're literally running with like 2 hands and 1 leg behind our back trying to change the world, when you have a tiny percentage, of the Jewish people who are actually living this. And like you said, even the ones that are aware, they're not even aware that this is our mission either, right? So this is, that's why I said, by the way, these ideas I have found, yes, the context here are, Jews that are not observant, who are not so known too much about Judaism, but even Orthodox Jews, these are paradigm shifts, right? These are also like, whoa, that's Judaism. Yeah, you're right, it makes sense, but they're also not necessarily, what's an edge. I'll tell you something. Maybe you heard this before, but Rabbi Weinberg, so he used to always talk about in the strategy for outreach. He used to always talk about the number one strategy. He would call it awaking the sleeping giant. What was the sleeping giant? The frum world, right? He would say we're the Kiruv professionals. We can't reach everybody. We need to awake the sleeping giant. If every Orthodox person would recognize that they're also responsible to reach out and to inspire and to welcome people in, then we could really change the world. But he also would say, when someone who's observant gets involved in outreach, you know what? It actually has a bigger impact on them than it does on the person that they're reaching out to.
For sure.
It's true, because if you now have to be able to share something, that means you have to be inspired. That means you have to be knowledgeable. That means you have to be passionate, right? And so, wait a minute, is my Shabbos table a table that if I invited someone to, they would come out and say, wow, that's Judaism, that's beautiful? That means my Shabbos table has to be like that, right? And so that creates, it changes people, right? But that's ultimately, if we're really that light that's shining out, that means we have to really be living with that light, right? And we have to really believe these things and live with them. Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, one more time, what is 7?
7 is that we are part of the greatest mission that in the world. We're part of a people that is a mission to change the world, and we're obligated to be part of it. Okay. It's 3:50. I'm not going to have a time really to do the next one. So, I want to, again, they asked me to take attendance. So I'm going to do that quickly, and then we'll continue next time. We got time to keep going. We'll have more time. So I'm just going to call out everyone's name. I'm sorry, I don't know everyone's name. Is Yossi Applebaum? No. Noah? Yeah, Noah's here. Great. You were here also last time, right? Yeah, you were here. Yeah. Andrew Bensonoff?
You're right.
Yeah, you were
Here.
Jesse Blander, right? Daniel Clapper?
Yes.
Great. Joshua Cohen is not here. Dylan's here. David Esegoff?
Yeah.
Great. Nathan Levy? Daniel Rader? Ari Zlotnick? No. Nathaniel Manor?
Here.
Great. Yoni Bloom? No. Iki Sokol? Ari Clear? No. Okay, did I not call anyone? Yeah.
David
Oh,
answered.
of course, you're here. Okay. I don't know why. You were here last time, right?
I don't. Is my name not even on there?
Yeah, David Esegoff. I said
No,
no.
he has to be.
Yeah. No. You signed up for this one?
I thought so.
Okay, it's fine.
I think
It's all
so.
good. Your name, remind me your name?
Binyamin Picasso.
Binyamin.
Picasso.
How do you spell that?
Pinkhaso.
S-O-V. Okay. Okay, amazing guys. Thank you so much. We
Thank you
will
very much.
continue.